World War II was one of the most devastating and destructive wars in human history. The war lasted for 6 years, from 1939 to 1945, and involved almost every nation on the planet. During the course of the war, both the Axis and Allied powers developed and deployed a wide range of terrifying weapons that inflicted unimaginable damage on both military and civilian populations. In this video, we will take a look at some of the most terrifying weapons of WW2, including the atomic bomb, V2 rocket, and flamethrower, among others. The atomic bomb. The atomic bomb was by far the most terrifying weapon of WW2. It was developed by the United States as part of the Manhattan Project, which was aimed at developing a nuclear weapon before the Germans did. The first atomic bomb was successfully tested in New Mexico on July 16, 1945. Just 3 weeks later, on August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, killing an estimated 140,000 people. 3 days later, another atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, killing an estimated 70,000 people. The atomic bomb was so devastating because it unleashed the power of the atom, releasing a massive amount of energy in the form of a mushroom cloud. The blast wave destroyed everything within a radius of several miles, while the intense heat generated by the explosion caused widespread fires that burned for days. V2 rocket. The V2 rocket was a long-range ballistic missile developed by Nazi Germany during WW2. It was the first operational ballistic missile and was used against civilian targets in London and other cities in Europe. The V2 was capable of carrying a 2,200-pound warhead and had a range of up to 200 miles. The missile was fired vertically from a mobile launch platform and reached a height of over 50 miles before descending on its target. The V2 was a terrifying weapon because it was virtually impossible to defend against. The missile traveled faster than the speed of sound and could not be detected by radar until it was too late. The V2 was responsible for the deaths of an estimated 9,000 people in London alone. Flamethrower. The flamethrower was a portable weapon used by both the Axis and Allied powers during WW2. It worked by projecting a stream of burning liquid, usually gasoline or diesel fuel, at a target. The flamethrower was a terrifying weapon because it caused immense pain and suffering to those it was used against. The intense heat of the flame could melt steel and ignite clothing, causing horrific burns. The flamethrower was used primarily in close combat situations, such as clearing out bunkers or other fortified positions. The weapon was used by both sides in the Pacific Theater, where it was particularly effective against Japanese soldiers who were dug in and well fortified. Poison gas. Poison gas was a weapon used extensively during WW1, but its use was limited in WW2 due to international treaties. However, both the Axis and Allied powers still used poison gas to some extent during the war. The most common type of gas used was mustard gas, which caused severe burns and blindness. The use of poison gas was a terrifying weapon because it caused immense suffering to those it was used against. The gas could be delivered in a variety of ways, including shells, bombs, and even sprays from airplanes. The use of poison gas was banned by international law after WW2. Molotov cocktail. The Molotov cocktail was a homemade weapon used extensively by resistance fighters and guerrilla forces during WW2. It consisted of a glass bottle filled with gasoline or diesel fuel and a cloth wick. The wick was lit and then the bottle was thrown at a target, usually a vehicle or building, causing the fuel to ignite and create a fireball. The Molotov cocktail was a terrifying weapon because it was cheap and easy to make, yet highly effective. It was particularly effective against tanks and armored vehicles, as the fuel could seep into the vehicle's engine and cause it to catch fire. The weapon was used extensively by resistance fighters in Europe, and later by communist forces during the Korean War. B-29 Superfortress. The B-29 Superfortress was a long-range bomber used by the United States during WW2. It was used primarily to bomb Japan, and was responsible for the destruction of many Japanese cities, including Tokyo, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima. The B-29 was a terrifying weapon because it could carry a massive payload of bombs, and could fly at high altitudes, making it difficult to intercept. The B-29 was also equipped with remote-controlled machine guns, which could be operated by a gunner from inside the aircraft. This made it difficult for enemy fighters to approach the bomber without being shot down. Panzerfaust. The Panzerfaust was a portable anti-tank weapon developed by Nazi Germany during WW2. It was a single-shot weapon that fired a shaped charge warhead capable of penetrating the armor of tanks and other armored vehicles. The weapon was simple to use and highly effective, making it a favorite of German soldiers on the front lines. The Panzerfaust was a terrifying weapon because it could be fired from a prone position, making it difficult for enemy soldiers to see where the shot was coming from. It was also relatively lightweight, making it easy for soldiers to carry multiple Panzerfausts into battle. Kamikaze. The kamikaze was a tactic used by the Japanese during WW2, in which pilots would deliberately crash their aircraft into enemy ships. The kamikaze was a terrifying weapon because it was difficult to defend against. The pilots would fly their planes low and fast, making them difficult to shoot down. The kamikaze was also a psychological weapon, as it demonstrated the Japanese soldiers' willingness to die for their cause. The kamikaze was responsible for sinking many Allied ships, and caused immense damage to the United States Navy during the Battle of Okinawa. The tactic was eventually abandoned by the Japanese due to the high casualties among the pilots. Conclusion. In conclusion, WW2 saw the development and deployment of some of the most terrifying weapons in human history. The atomic bomb, V2 rocket, and flamethrower were just a few of the weapons that caused immense damage and suffering to both military and civilian populations. Despite the devastation caused by these weapons, they did not ultimately decide the outcome of the war. Rather, it was the bravery and sacrifice of millions of soldiers and civilians on both sides that brought about the end of the war and paved the way for a more peaceful future. It is our responsibility as humans to learn from the mistakes of the past and strive to create a better world for future generations.